Fallout 4 has 186 weapons, which is more than Fallout 3, which boasts 134, but Fallout New Vegas is the winner of the Egg and Spoon race with 235. Why am I telling you these statistics? Well, it's because even though there's close to 200 weapons, I decided to use the one weapon that is less powerful than the starting pistol you're given in Vault 111. Today I wanted to ask the question, can you beat Fallout 4 while only using the pipe pistol? The pipe pistol is a weapon. There's not much more to say. It has 13 base damage and uses the .38 rounds. As you can see in the background, I'm crafting my masterpiece of a human, Praise the Pipe. Known for stalking nearby cats and presumed clinically insane from the war, my talking robot takes care of my baby when yet another figment of my imagination has appeared and asked me about myself. He asked about my specialness or something? Anyway, for this run it's a simple one. Luck at 5 for Idiot Savant, Agility's at 4 for Reasons, Intelligence at 3 for Gun Nut, Charisma at 1 because Praise the Pipe fucking said so, Endurance, Perception and Strength all at 5 because where else would I put my points? We're notified of total nuclear warfare a few minutes later, so I abandon my wife and child to get to safety, but they catch up to me unfortunately. Down in the vault it's the same as usual. We're practically lied to, spit on, ate out of, ate into, have our feelings played with, which isn't a very nice thing to do. Our son gets kidnapped and my wife gets shot. I think her name was Praise the Pipe, which makes sense for her but not for me. I steal her wedding ring and tactically make my way through the vault, avoiding the rad roaches and managing to lock them all out of the main room so I can sneak and wait to take the Pip-Boy so we can start on Hello Kitty Island adventure. Outside of the vault, the first thing I do is I make my way back home and grab the I'm Special book, increasing agility from 4 to 5, and we get gaslit from that talking robot that our wife and child are here. What a sick bastard toying with our feelings like that. We managed to find our beloved pipe pistol in a safe along with a whopping 39 rounds. I make sure to set the difficulty up to hard because I'm not scared, you are. I ignore the dog because Praise the Pipe does not have friends, he is cool and a lone wolf. I wasn't planning on siding with the Minutemen for this, in fact I was going to be siding with the Brotherhood. So why am I in the Natural History Museum? Well, simply put, it's for the XP and I want to see if Virgin Squad would say something different if I showed them power armor with the minigun, and in fact, you actually do get unique dialogue for this. So far, using the pipe pistol hasn't been the worst. It's a weak pistol, so what do you expect I suppose? And we're still early game. I take out all the raiders for Preston and the gang before I just leave him there to sort out the Deathclaw. I give Wolfgang and Simone the pleasure of knowing what a .38 round smells like. Remember when I said we are teaming up with the Brotherhood in this run? Well, okay, good, because we're doing that now. I somewhat assist Dance in taking out the pack of ghouls and he invites me to go on a trip with him to some building to get some piece of tech to call his bros on Discord. Quickly I head back to Sanctuary to put some upgrades onto my pistol, then Dance and I are off the Arc Jet together but he refuses to hold hands. He tells me about the story of his fallen brothers and sisters in battle, but really I'm only here for the XP, but we can't let him know that. We make it to Arc Jet and this is where we find out that the pipe pistol's damage against synths is actually kind of really quite shit with it's shit. Now we get to the literal jet in the basement. I try killing Dance by turning it on but to no avail. I pick up all the weapons and ammo I can from the synths, mainly the cell later on, as if you don't know, picking up a weapon will generally give you some ammo from that weapon too. Dance uses /TP, then we die just like that. On the second attempt, we take our time and I realise that this isn't Call of Duty World at War and I cannot just run into a room guns blazing. We pick up his trans computer ponder and did you see that? Did you see that stupid mistake I just made? I just dropped my weapon and didn't realise it at all. We head back to the police station and get slated by a bald man. Halen and Reese send me out on a radium quest for the Brotherhood, so we'll get to them later. Right now though? Right now I am on my way to Bunker Hill, marking off locations on the map like CIT runes, and this is when I realise I dropped my pistol, so after backtracking and finding it, I return to make my way for Bunker Hill, so I mark green tech on the map for later, then hardscope a raider before making it to Bunker Hill where, to be honest, I thought there would be more traders, so this place was just a bit of an L to be quite frank. On our way to Diamond City, we mark Park Street Station on the map for later to rescue Nick. I managed to bait a super mutant into killing one of the Diamond City guards as their armor was really good, especially for this early on in the run. In Diamond City, I pickpocketed the mayor straight away, who I think voiced Mike and Sully's boss for Monsters Inc. and traded for more ammo. Now, getting through Park Street was a bit of a challenge that required me to actually use my big girl brain and not rush into combat, instead opting to keep my distance where I can and actually trying to learn from mistakes I make. We plant one in the side of Dino's head and rescue the talking SpongeBob toy that got radiated some 200 years ago. We escape out with Nick struggling with Skinny Malone and his crew of misfits. Knowing I do about the same amount of damage as a wet noodle, I decided to actually try talk my way out of it, and it did not end well. I end up using basically the rest of my ammo and some drugs to get through the fight. Nick and I escape and make our way back to Diamond City, where we buy even more ammo. For the rest of the run, I won't go over every single time I buy ammo or pick a perk when I level up, because if you use that big brain of yours that I know you have, I'm sure you realise that all of the perks I pick were basic and all the ammo I bought was more or less traded for with other ammo I don't need. Now, for some reason, instead of just waiting to literally do the next quest, I decided to discover Fort Hagen now so I can fast travel back here in a few minutes. Nick asks me some personal questions, but nothing that Google doesn't already know about me, and we investigate the local criminal's house where we find one of the worst things. No, not a cigar. The fact that this fucking dog is going to lead us halfway across the map off the smell of a few ciggies alone. We go up to Fort Hagen to take out all the turrets and wait for dog meat so we can finally find the man who killed my wife and took my son. Once we're in the building, I do this little known trick called fuck this, and I just run past every single synth in the first area, getting straight to that elevator as soon as I could. I even pop a dose of jet to make sure I get there without being turned into Swiss cheese. When this one synth popped up behind, it scared the fuck out of me. Anyway, we get through the rest of the synth arena because for some reason this weird man with an unhealthy relationship to robots has probably close to 100 of them guarding him in this building from God knows what, considering he gave us 50-50 chances of even making it to Diamond City, so I know he wasn't waiting for me. When I finally make it to Kellogg, let me just show you how I dealt with him and his best buddies. Yeah, so we get everything we need only to leave in an unusual loading screen, only to be met with my fellow brethren who I will do nothing but to impress. Maybe. Anyway, afterwards I decide to go ahead and discover the crater of Adam so we can teleport back there later to find Shrek 5. We make our way over to Good Neighbor where we are plugged into Elon Musk's new brain chip thing, I don't know, and now it's time to go through Kellogg's memories to find out what happened to our son. As usual, I find something else to do in this part. Unlike in the last Fallout 4 video where I changed YouTube videos here, this time I remembered to take my antidepressants, and before we know it, we find out that teleportation is used to get in and out of the institute, and that's where our son is. Little do we know though that this memory is about 50 years old. Dr. Amari tells us to visit Shrek 5 trademarked in the glowing sea, so we fast travel back and square up to Virgil, who, for all intents and purposes, we're going to try and never visit again as his face is what they call nightmare fuel in Ireland. Shrek 5 tells us to kill a courser, basically a robot assassin, in order to get a brain thing so we can intercept the reception on the TV to get /TP'd into the institute via the radio. As we already discovered CIT and Green Tech earlier on, I just fast travel back to Green Tech and I do my signature tactical move where I essentially fucking run past everyone and everything, but it wouldn't be me without a few fuck ups, so we die a few times and even get stuck once or twice. This nerd had me stuck in a death loop, but it was more like an idiot loop featuring me. Once we are finally done fighting through the groups of gunners though, we are finally met with the courser. My main tactic with this stupid courser was to just do all the drugs and stay on top of him, much like I did to Mercer Frey in that one Skyrim run we did a while ago. Because it just works, we box the courser into a corner and just lay into him and his cousin trapped in the room, securing the brain thing I was talking about. Back at Amari now, she tells us to make our way to the railroad. Let's be real, fuck the railroad. Weird robot toaster loving people kind of feel for them. We managed to guess their super secret password, and once we gain access to their clubhouse, they take away my brain thing, giving me the contents that were on it that I need, and they demand to keep it. Don't worry though, we will be back. We make our last visit to Shrek 5 trademarked with him to give us the teleporter schematics, which I'm assuming are drawn with crayons on stone, and we make him an empty promise to find a cure to turn him back into human Shrek 5 trademarked. It's when I'm clearing out the station I try to utilise the third person aiming mode, which is actually really helpful for pistols and sneak attacks. We clear out the subway and make our way back to claim our sweet XP, and Dance tells me to follow him up to the roof so we can fly to the big blimp we saw quite some time ago at this stage. I actually decide to have some fun and do some damage to a Mirelurk with the minigun, so yes, the run is over and my life is ruined, please dislike the video. On board the Pridwin, we're roasted by the captain, then we attend a seminar with the young but questionable but most likely homosexual Maxon. When left alone with Maxon, he makes us admin of his Minecraft server and we meet the gang around the blimp. Weirdly enough, I've always thought I would die in a blimp related accident, but that is yet to happen. You know, the first time I played through the Brotherhood questline many moons ago, I had no idea that Ingram didn't have any legs because I'm not staring at animated legs when I play games. I ignore my power armor because praise the pipe don't need no powered up armor. Maxon directs us to the nearby island full of super mutants and a behemoth which we must take out. Firstly, I make the mistake of taking the vertebrate over, and this is when I realise I can't actually get out of the thing and have to do damage with the minigun. So I load my last save and swim over to the island, and 6 minutes 24 seconds later we take out the behemoth. Honestly, this part was not nearly as bad as I thought it could be. I tried to just take out all the super mutants and separate them so they couldn't overwhelm me, and as per usual, after drugs and bullets the job gets done. For some reason I show you that I'm still on hard mode and I clear out the building of super mutants too, which really wasn't a difficult process. Sure, I used up healing supplies and drugs, but when don't I when I'm playing on hard mode and only using a level 1 raider weapon? In saying that though, I will say the pipe pistol has been somewhat impressing me with this run, considering I thought I was going to do near no damage. The last part I managed to basically take out all enemies without even being seen. After clearing out and looting, we make our way back to dance for our next assignment, which is to speak with Bossman Maxon. He pats us on the head for a job well done, and we can finally get started on building the teleporter to enter the institute. I commit death on accident for once and get to making the teleporter. Now, in the nicest way that I can actually put this, fuck this teleporter and the building mechanics of this game. I spent what nearly felt like 20 minutes trying to fucking connect everything together to be on the same circuit, only to find out that I didn't even have enough power in the first place, because this isn't 2013 anymore and I don't study maths on a nearly daily basis. Before we go into the institute, we're told two very important things. Don't fuck things up so we have connections on the inside, and find a special kind of doctor, Dr. Madison Lee. They also told me a third thing. Use a network scanner on their network to get all the information we can. Once I'm teleported into the institute, I upload my furry porn onto their server and I'm spoken to by a magic voice. Must be inside my head. I follow the yellow brick road and finally find my son, who might be an old man. After we get our feelings toyed with, I, in cold blood, murder daddy of the institute, so I guess we'll never find out that's our son. Oh well. Once we escape, we head back to the balloon in the sky where Maxon tells us how disappointed he is in us, but also gives us enough XP to level up, so I'm not sure how he feels about us. We give the proctor our virus we uploaded and we're shown our secret weapon, the Commie Killer, the Communist Destroyer, the hater of the Red Chinese, Liberty Prime. Of course, it's our job to get it back up and running, and first things first is to hire a scientist from Diamond City who knows why robots go boop and beep. Of course, because this is a video game and not real life, our friend is nowhere to be found. Her colleague tells us that she's bowling with robots somewhere, so that's where we're off to. Once we arrive in General Atomics Galleria, I spend honestly much longer than I care to admit trying to pass this skill check by scum saving, and safe to say the situation ended in violence. I broke the professor, so I crippled her to fix her and show her our special item to get her to join up with us to get Captain Democracy back up and running to eventually take down the Institute. Back at home base, we're sent to get a magnet to craft 4 high-powered limb joints or something so that the robot can actually move its limbs and not just essentially be used for weird sex stuff for other robots. At the hospital, we pick up the magnet and all we have to deal with is a few codsworths and the odd protectron here and there. We get trapped with a handy that scared the hell out of me, and eventually we find our magnet. Back at the airport, we craft up our electromagnetic actuators and we're sent to yet another dead quest, to go into the glowing sea and find a supply of nukes for Liberty Prime to use as weapons. We meet up with Scribe Halen yet again, so she knows our plan to use the air tags on the nukes so they know where to find them. In the glowing sea, I managed to avoid the Deathclaws by one part sneaking and another part running for my life because no, I was not taking on a Deathclaw. I test out a nuke when I make it to my destination and maybe they're faulty, I don't know. I always enjoy this part because it reminds me of training zombies back in 2009 after school, and you line them all up for that satisfaction taking them all out with the packet-punched M16 and Kino der Toten. A child of Adam is in here for some reason, but we managed to persuade him on our second attempt to let us get up all in them nukes. We place the air tag down and get jumped by this fucking glowing bitch. We return with news of the nukes and the honour is placed on us to activate Liberty Prime. Now last and most likely least, we need the bitch's power supply because AAA shows are not going to work. We're sent up to Maxon where we find out that our beloved dance is actually an escaped synth. Dum dum dum. I track him down with the help of Halen and, without hesitation, I softly and gently made sure to pierce his head with my .45 and 38 rounds. I make my last upgrades to my pistols and inform Maxon that we shot down Dance like the fool he is. Then we are promoted to whatever Dance was, probably an operator of the server. Now we're told to go and take out the toaster lovers. Oh, how fun this was. We make our way to the Old North Church, where instead of just taking out the named agents, we decided to essentially ban them from the server forever and go through taking out every single one, nameless or not. We even managed to steal Pam to plan our own strategies. We even managed to steal Pam for our own strategies for taking over a castle or some sort of institute. I don't know, I didn't read the book. We head back to Captain What's-His-Face, where we're rewarded with a level up, bringing us up to level 22. Proctor, Cripple and I need to make our way to Mass Fusion in order to get a power supply big enough to power the Commie Whacker. On our way there, I make sure not to make the same mistake as last time, and this time I chose not to open fire on the Synths and simply wait for us to land on top of the roof instead. We know that I do not do much damage against the Synths, and the rest of the game is just us fighting Synths, so this should be good. We hack into the mainframe and take the elevator down, getting jump scared by Miss Cripple after the loading screen, and we slowly descend into the pits of Mass Fusion like that one Halo level, I think, but I don't know because I've never played Halo, because growing up I had a PS3. The superior console. And yes, I am adult enough now to admit that the Xbox 360 and One controllers were and are still better than their PlayStation counterparts. I think we can all agree that the PS5 controller is the controller of all controllers though. We finally make it to the bottom of Mass Fusion, where we collect our prize, a battery. I tried looking for a way to stop the onslaught of enemies that come our way afterwards, but without a high enough hacking level I couldn't find a way. My tactic for this part was really let Ingram take care of everything they throw at us, and all support from the side with my little pistol. After getting tricked by one of the Assaultrons to my death, I don't let it happen a second time, and instead we take them out and make our way back to the blimp in the sky, where we can finally take down the Institute. We plug the battery into Big Bob and power him up. He's finally ready to go. In a weird sex thing, I tried to get stepped on, and I am not following this robot all the way to CIT Ruins, aka downtown Boston from the airport. So instead I fast travel to CIT Ruins, where we take down a few rounds of Synths, and Big Booty Bob fucking melts a hole in the ground for us to jump through to get into the Institute. The next few minutes are always the same. Make our way to the center of the Institute ASAP so the Brotherhood and not me can take out all the Synths in the area, so I can finally make my way up to my son's room, aptly named Father's Room, so I can hack into the mainframe and override the server so we can get access to the VIP area. Really, we unlocked our way to the core of the Institute so we can plant just a little nuke in their basement, get teleported back to the entrance, ignore my weird son who made me kill my real son who I also tried to kill. Damn you Bethesda, it's not even a person. Anyway, we escape from the Institute, blowing it up with everyone inside and answering yes. You can be followed for with a pipe pistol, but I can't. If you have any challenge run ideas you want to see, please leave them in the comments, and with that, I've been Dara. Have a good day.